I'm your Countdown host, MJ Book, back for another episode here in the world of Countdown. Now, hope everybody's doing well out there. It's a nice weekend here in the 123 studios, and I know what you're probably thinking. I'm here continuing my series of the 80s. I'm taking a little break, just a little. Still in the world of movies, just not doing the 80s one. Am working on the next one, so don't worry, I will be getting that one up soon. But I am doing another countdown in the movie world, but I am not alone. I guess this has become a series too. You remember my series, my action movies that I did recently, and I mentioned this in my countdowns. This ended up being, oh boy, favorite episode of the season 1, and that was the brainchild of frequent guest Eric. And guess what? We are back together again, going into the next decade, which it's hard to describe it, the aughts, 2000 to 2009. Eric, what's up? How you doing?
What is going on, man? We back for the sequel. I don't know if this one's gonna live up to the original, like most sequels, but we're gonna give it a shot. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, feel free to not try to equal that. Feel free. You don't have to equal that. Sometimes just let that be. Let the original be the original. Don't try to overtop it, because I might not live through it. So you don't have to go that far, bro.
Nah, I don't think I can. I think this one is gonna be more level, and you'll probably appreciate this list a little more. So probably a couple you're probably gonna be like, but nothing like the 90s.
Well, at this point, these movies, you're a little older now, so that's probably got a little bit more of an effect because you're older for these movies. I'm just guessing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But like I said, we're counting down our favorite action movies that were done between the years of 2000 and 2009. Now, I did have to put a little bit of a rule on this. We couldn't do any DC or Marvel movies, comic book movies, because this was when comic book movies started to take over. And there's a ton of them. If you want to look, you can look up and you can see how many damn movies came out that were comic book related with DC or Marvel. Any other comic book type movie is fine, just not the DC and Marvel. But did that make this list a little more rough that I eliminated those?
Yeah. I just caught myself, because it was like, wait, can't do that one. And I'm getting the list. Nope, can't do that one either. Okay, but I'm glad you did it, because if we didn't, like 8, 9 of these movies would have been comic book movies, so it didn't make sense. So.
Plus, it's gonna have its own list.
Yeah,
that'll have its own list. I've kind of already done it with DC's and Marvel's, but I haven't done one combined yet. That's what I'm working on, is best comic book movies, period. Whether it's Marvel, DC, whatever. Not a split, just all of them. So that'll be fun. That's why no comic book movies are going to be on here from DC or Marvel. There could be one or two, just not DC or Marvel. Did you have any honorable mentions?
I have 2, and it hurts that I couldn't do more. Going back, I did this list probably 3 times, revamped it, because I kept finding things like, oh wait, I didn't put this on here. And then I had to take something off, and it hurt. So without any further ado, my 2 honorable mentions, real quick. When The Rock first was becoming a movie star, he was sort of passed the torch in his second major acting role, which was in The Rundown. In the early scene in that film, you see Schwarzenegger walking past The Rock in a club, and he's telling him, have fun. And that was kind of supposed to be the torch handing off the next action hero. It took a little time to get there, because there was some Disney bumps in the road, but he eventually came back, and you could arguably say he has become the biggest action hero in the last 10 years. So yeah, The Rundown, I enjoyed that movie. Sean William Scott as well as Rosario Dawson in that film. Good one. I strongly recommend that one. And one that Steven Sommers directed. He's known for directing The Mummy, so I enjoyed this movie too, starring Hugh Jackman, Van Helsing. I know a lot of people maybe have mixed feelings about that movie, and again, it was 2000. That was 2004, so the CGI doesn't hold up the best, but I was obsessed with that movie. I watched it back to back when it came out. So those are my 2. Love those movies, and it was good to see Hugh Jackman outside of a Wolverine suit, actually doing something else. And Kate Beckinsale is drop dead gorgeous in that movie.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. No doubts on that one. I have a couple of honorable mentions. One you mentioned, The Rundown. I would have loved to put this in the 10, but I couldn't do it. Just could not
Yep,
do it.
yep.
And this speaks to Dwayne the Rock Johnson because I also have the Scorpion King. I love that I love the Scorpion King, and so it's in the Mummy movies. It's to me the third best one. Obviously, didn't beat the original, doesn't beat Mummy Returns, but it sure as hell beats that stupid third one with Jet Li.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was horrific. Behind Enemy Lines, which a lot of people may not be familiar with, stars Gene Hackman and Owen Wilson. Owen plays this pilot who his plane goes down and he's behind enemy lines and he's trying to get to where he can get rendezvoused. They've made so many of these movie sequels, including WWE made one. I can't remember if this was one that had Miz in it or if it had, I can't remember if it was Miz or somebody else, but they made one of these too. And I saw it, unfortunately, and it is horrific. It is horrific. Mission Impossible 2.
That's with Andy Newton. Dandy Newton. Dandy Newton. Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Mission Impossible, I love the Mission Impossible series. Now, my favorite of Mission Impossible is the original because to me that holds the most to the TV show. But the action got a little bit too much at times, and this got too lovey-lovey, and that's what drove me nuts. And that's why it's down here, or else it'd have been way up.
What did you think of the most recent one with Henry Cavill?
It's not bad. I mean, all of them are good. They're all good.
I thought it was outstanding. Like, I was into that movie. And Tom Cruise is a nut. Okay.
Oh yeah. I have the box set of the Mission Impossible movies on Blu-ray, so I own all of them. So they're all good. It's just, for me, my favorite just happens to be the first one because it wasn't all action. It had that espionage, that spy element that I love from the TV show. But
Right.
What could I say? I'm a weirdo. And couldn't do this without having Sir Sean Connery, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Gotta have that. Gotta mention the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It is a stupid movie. I completely acknowledge it. It's absolutely horrific, but I don't care. I love that movie. It's just damn good. And it is based off a comic, but it is a lesser known one. So that's why that can still be mentioned here. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Rest in peace again, Sir Sean Connery. And that's my honorable mention.
Nice.
All righty. Let's start the countdown. This is a 10-spot countdown. Again, it is our 10 favorite action movies between the years of 2000 and 2009. And as always, I always let the guests go first. Go ahead, Eric. What you got? Number 10.
All right. Well, I'll be curious to see how you think of this film because I know.
Oh, boy. This is where everything went off the rails last time. So I'm a little nervous. Maybe I should get my shot.
This movie is one of many in a series, and I was hesitant going in because they went a different direction. But I ended up really, really enjoying the way they went. I like the post-apocalyptic feel of it and actually seeing the other side. And it's the fourth in the series. I'm talking about Terminator Salvation, starring Christian Bale, Sam Worthington. Rest in peace to Anton Yelchin. And I love me some Moon Bloodgood. If y'all don't know who Moon Bloodgood is, look her up. Now, I know most people don't like this movie, but I always wanted to see the other side of the apocalypse. Like we always get John Connor and Kyle Reese. Okay, I'm tired of following them at the same points. Or, I get it. I want to see what it's like on the other side. And I really like Christian Bale in this movie as John Connor. I thought he made a really good John Connor. And I like it is a little confusing with, Kyle Reese being younger and all that. But seeing the machines in the early stages and the early phases as they morph and they evolve, and you see how they kind of got stronger, more smarter, and seeing those big carriers come around and snatching people up. I mean, I thought this was great. I didn't see any of the trailers, so I went in this movie spoiler free. I had no idea Sam Worthington was going to turn out to be a Terminator himself, so that was mind blowing for me. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the score. One of my favorite scorers of all time, Danny Elfman. Thank you very much. So, yes, Terminator Salvation. I thought they could have stopped here because it kind of gave us a glimpse into everything. As after this, it really, really goes to shit in this series. I don't think, as much as people might not like this one, I can't say anybody likes any of the other ones that follow. I didn't even watch the most recent one because I refuse. It just looks like the biggest pile of shit. So, yes,
Okay.
Terminator Salvation.
Yep, this is already starting off bad.
It's not.
Yes, it is. That's the movie that made me stop watching Terminator movies. I was done right there. I hated Terminator 3, and then I watched that, and I was like, okay, that's enough. I see where this is going. This is going
I
to
like
hell, so
Terminator
I
3.
stopped.
Christina Loken is there? Oh man, yeah.
And
All
I
day.
hated the TV show too. So at this point, Terminator, I was just done with it. Rob loves that TV show though. He and I always fight about that show. He likes that show. I thought it was crap. All right. Oh Jesus. Number 10 for me. This movie stars an actor who was on the comeback in his career. He had a few issues back in the day, but he came out the other side and has since become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. And some people may not think of this movie when they think of him, but it's one of the ones I always think of. This was directed by Guy Ritchie. This movie stars Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, Rachel McAdams, Mark Strong, Sherlock Holmes. I love the Sherlock Holmes stories. I always have. I love the BBC's one with Benedict Cumberbatch. I love Sherlock. When I heard they were doing this movie, I was like, okay, who's going to play Sherlock? And then I heard Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, oh, let's see. Will that work? I'm going to give him a try. He nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. This is an absolutely, and they take a different take on Sherlock. We're so used to seeing him primed up and proper and everything. He plays him kind of dirty, sloppy, just a mess of a person, but his mind is still there. Everything you have for Sherlock Holmes. And plus, this Sherlock Holmes can fight. I mean, that first opening scene of him.
I was gonna say the movie opens up with a fight, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, when he's in that fight pit and he's doing that Sherlock kind of inner mind bubble thing that he does throughout the movies. It's like, and plus he got himself in pretty good shape for this movie too. This was just an entertaining movie. I am a sucker for the Sherlock Holmes movies. It's hard for me to pick which Sherlock is better, whether it's Robert or Benedict, because I love them both for different reasons. For me, it's just a tie. I can't decide between them. Of course, this would get a sequel. Sequel wasn't as good as the original, unfortunately, but still an enjoyable movie. I own both these. They keep talking about doing a Sherlock 3. If they do, I would be there in a heartbeat. This was very entertaining. Jude Law and Robert Downey, perfect together as Holmes and Watson. And like I said, this was the revitalizing of Robert Downey Jr. I mean, it went from Iron Man to all the Marvel stuff, but he also did the side projects as well. And this was one of the successful ones, not one of his more recent ones, Dr. Dolittle. So, yeah, that was bad. I felt bad for him. I'm like, oh, you might need to jump back into Marvel, bro. You might need to have them do some things because that was horrific. But number 10, Sherlock Holmes.
We turned that shit off. I was watching. It was me, my wife, and the kids. Turned it off.
It's bad.
Nobody was enjoying that shit.
It's bad. It's bad. Dr. Dolittle 1 and 2 with Eddie Murphy is better than that.
Oh my God, leagues better.
It's way better.
Not even close.
And that's a shame, but it was really, really bad.
Well, you can't play every character like a head case. Like they just played this character the wrong way, and it was never gonna
I
work.
don't know what they were thinking with that movie. It was just a mess. What's your number 9?
All right, number 9. I was really shaky on this movie when it was coming out. Growing up, I had a movie theater in my town. It was one of those old school theaters where it was just one theater. They eventually expanded into multiple because it was such a big theater that they could afford to renovate and make that one huge theater into 4. So one of the first movies that was released after they renovated was in 2003, and I was worried, but then I saw the cast and I saw the director and who was producing. You know, when you see Jerry Bruckheimer, you're kind of like, okay, well, maybe this is going to be something. And it's powered by Disney, starring Johnny Depp, talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. This was one of those epics that had it all to me. I love me some Johnny Depp. I don't think he can do it. Well, he has done wrong, but for the most part, he can't do wrong. And playing Captain Jack Sparrow. Loved him. I mean, from the moment he comes on the screen, he takes it over, and you just can't wait for that next moment for him to show up again. He delivers in this movie. I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was more action in there than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting the story to go the way it did. Orlando Bloom was a little annoying in the movie. I will say that. I didn't really care for his character. I like Keira Knightley in the movie. Jeffrey Rush was outstanding in this movie as Barbosa. It was just a really cool. I like the concept of the curse and everything about it. I don't want to ruin this movie, but I if you haven't seen it, this is the first in the series. I think it's the best one. Dead Man's Chest, I think, is right behind it. But yeah, I love this movie. I think it's hilarious. I quote it sometimes. Man, yeah, it did it for me. Just some real quick statistics. This movie was released June 28, 2003 with a budget of 140 million, and it made $654 million. So very successful to say the least. And it was based off a Disney ride, so it's kind of a layup. It is what it is.
I'm one of the very few people on the face of this earth that is not a Pirates fan. I can't stand them.
I love those movies.
Part of this is because as a kid, I just never like Pirates. I just never was. I'm not into pirate movies. I'm just not into pirates. The only type of thing I can deal with pirates is Peter Pan. That's about it. Other than that, I've never gotten into the pirate stuff, and I cannot stand Johnny Depp. So,
thought you liked him.
21 Jump Street. One of the characters, Richard Grieco. Do you remember what the name of his character is?
No.
Booker. 21 Jump Street had a spinoff. Guess what it was called? Booker. So during that time, I kept getting all those jokes, and I already hated that show. That made me absolutely go nuts. So, and since he was the biggest star, Johnny Depp, and quite honestly, I just think his movies are shit, except for Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
Sleepy Hollow.
No, I just like the way Christina Ricci looks in that.
Secret Window.
No, why don't you mention Lone Ranger?
Oh God, no! That he fucked up. You
think? You think?
He was a little. He was too much into the Disney portal. You know, they kind of swallowed him up for a little while there. He had to come back to the world after Lone Ranger. He was like, "Yeah, I need to."
I even tried to watch Sweeney Todd, and I didn't like it.
A lot of people like that movie.
I didn't like it. I thought I would, and I'm like, this has got to be a Johnny Depp movie I like. And it finished, and I'm like, yeah, that was stupid. So I don't know. It's just Johnny Depp's just one of those actors. He just does not speak to me.
Jack Sparrow is awesome. You would like Jack Sparrow. You're drunk all the time.
No, I do not want to watch the Pirates movies. I'm not into pirates. Just never have been.
All right.
My number 9 was done in 2004, and our esteemed guest Eric already mentioned it in his honorable mentions. Directed by Stephen Sommers, starring Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale, Richard Roxburgh. It is Van Helsing. That movie kicked ass.
Man, I can't believe you have that on here.
I don't care what anybody thinks. That is a damn good action movie.
Yes, it is. Underrated.
Very underrated movie. Now, obviously, the character Van Helsing's been a part of media for a long time. He's associated with Dracula. But I like what they did with Van Helsing, where they made him essentially work for the church, and he's hunting these unique creatures. And it starts it off with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I love how they made him look in that movie. In some ways, I like the way he looks in that a little more than League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Because in that, he just looks like a ball of muscle. In this, it makes a little bit more sense. Maybe he's a little too big, but I love the voice that they had for him. I love the way they played that character. They made him despicable and disgusting, and I loved it. And the Van Helsing, I mean, when somebody does a profile of somebody, you should be able to guess what that is. And with Van Helsing, that hat, that jacket, everything, as soon as you see that profile, you know, oh, that's Van Helsing. And they made him an absolute badass. And I was a little disappointed that this didn't get a sequel. I thought this should have got a sequel. I mean, there were some places they could have gone for a sequel, but it just didn't materialize. It didn't happen. It made money, but not enough, I guess, for a sequel. And you already mentioned it. Kate Beckinsale is ridiculously hot, and she still looks the same. That woman has not aged.
No.
She is not aged one. She looks the
And
exact same.
I don't know about you. I was actually hurt for Van Helsing that they didn't hook up at the end and then she died. That hurt me.
Well, you just revealed the ending.
I don't care. I've been waiting to express that to somebody for years.
Yeah,
That hurt, man.
that caught me off guard.
I was
That
like,
caught me off
no,
guard.
he
I
finally
don't think
found
they should have done
somebody.
it.
Yeah.
They could have brought her back for a sequel. They could have just said, okay, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. This is Hollywood. You bring everybody back. So they could have just brought her back from the dead or something. Who knows? I don't know. They could have made her a werewolf, vampire. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
we won't talk about Fast 9 bringing people back from the fucking dead.
No. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, and it was nice to see Hugh Jackman do something other than Wolverine. Not that there's anything wrong with him doing Wolverine, because we're never going to think of anybody else in that role because he nailed it so well. But this proved he could do something else and have adamantium claws. And like I said, just a kick-ass movie. Love their Count Dracula. His little whores that he had, those little horror vampires that he had. Oh, I mean, just this movie was just entertaining as hell. I love what they did with Frankenstein.
They made
Great
Dracula
movie.
a pimp.
This was just an awesome movie, completely underrated. You must watch Van Helsing. My number 9.
Love that movie.
Damn, love that movie. Hell yeah, I love that movie.
Good. Oh man, I don't feel bad no more.
Oh no, I was gonna represent with that one. It's too damn good to ignore.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, number 8 for me was a culmination of, I guess you want to call a rebooted property, very popular one of George Lucas. And we'd all been waiting. He did this whole series just for one character. And it took 3 movies to get this damn thing, but we finally got it. So 2005, I was actually working at a movie theater. I graduated high school. Following day after I graduated high school, I started working at Lowe's Cinema. And this movie was just released probably a few weeks before. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Of the prequels, this is the best one. It's the one that they got right. That's not to say that it's flawless. It's just the one they got right. It starts off right away with a battle scene that is off the freaking chain. I mean, the CGI with this is awesome. And it's best opening to Star Wars. Out of all the Star Wars movies, this is the best opening, period. It's because it's just non-stop action. For the first half hour, it's just action. It's awesome. I'm like, how come you can't do this all the time? And we know how this is gonna go. Only problem I have with this movie is Anakin's motive for turning to the dark side. I just felt like that was a little weak. I thought that not the motive, the means of how it happened and how Palpatine was so easily able to manipulate him and he didn't question him at all. I didn't like that, but and it was a little quick how he flipped from being a Jedi to killing kids, and I was like, that's a little fast, but we had to get there, right? We went 3 movies. We just need to get to the thing everybody wants to see, and that's him becoming Vader. That last lightsaber scene with him and Obi-Wan, it's right underneath, for me, it's right underneath the Darth Maul's lightsaber battle. It's right there. These two went at it, and obviously we know how it ends with Anakin becoming Darth Vader and that iconic scene. Well, we could call it iconic. A lot of people made memes about this scene when he stands up as Vader and he does the no.
It's one of my ringtones.
I actually didn't have a problem with it because I mean, what else would you say? I just lost my limbs, my skin. I'm a robot now. My wife's dead. She just had my kids that I'm probably never gonna see.
Well, kid, he didn't know about the other one.
Oh yeah, but that's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
That's a lot to process. And and you're looking down, looking up.
And what the Emperor said, in your anger, you killed her. So he thinks he did it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of speculation and rumors, and the books don't help because this book will say this happened, this book will say that happened. That they'll expand on why Vader killed her, or they'll say, oh no, it was actually Palpatine that transferred her life energy into him, and that's why he actually survived and she died. There's a lot. Yeah, I know. Yeah. At the end of the day, we knew we had to see it. I wanted a little more Vader. Not like I didn't want to see him fight or anything like that because I knew we weren't going to get that. I just would have liked a little more Vader. So shout out to Rogue One for giving us some action-packed Vader. But yep, episode 3. I thought this was start to finish the best one of the prequels. It gave, for the majority, it gave us what we wanted, and it gave us Vader finally.
Yeah, it's definitely the best of that second trilogy. No doubts there. It's amazing that Star Wars has not been able to keep my attention since that movie. But yeah, that movie was really good. Definitely, if it's not the best lightsaber duel in Star Wars history, it's second to Darth Maul.
I still give Darth
It's
Maul
not
a
number
nod.
1, it's 2. It's one of those.
Ray Park's a beast, so it's a little hard to top him.
It's a little hard to top him. So that was definitely a good movie. I actually considered it a few times. It was on an initial list, but it didn't survive to make it to honorable mentions. But for me, I don't know why. I just don't look at Star Wars as action for some weird reason. I just don't tie it. I just kind of put it
is sci-fi. It's sci-fi.
I just put it as a Star Wars movie. I don't know where to put it. Science fiction, yeah. It's got action. It's just a weird kind of movie. So in the end, I just like, you know what? I can't put this in action. It's a great movie, but I couldn't put it. But I'm glad you mentioned it. Ooh. All right. My number 8. My number 8 is starring one of Hollywood's greatest actors who has kind of become synonymous with some action movies here and there. But there's no doubts about his acting ability. He is one of our best. And when I say one of our best, I mean also because he also happens to be African American. This movie is directed by Tony Scott. This was done in 2004. This stars the legendary Denzel Washington, Christopher Walken, Dakota Fanning, Man on Fire. Now, when Man on Fire came out, Marvel had this little movie called The Punisher, and with Thomas Jane. I was excited to finally have a Punisher movie. And then I watched it. And no disgrace to Thomas Jane, because he's got the look, the voice, everything to be the Punisher, but he was given a shitty script.
Yeah, the dialogue in that movie killed it.
It was bad. Plus, having it in Miami killed it. It needs to be in New York. Punisher needs to be in a dark, brooding area, and that's New York, not friggin' Florida. When Man on Fire came out, I remember I kept telling people, oh yeah, that's the Punisher. That is what the Punisher should be right there. It just happened to be Denzel. But Denzel plays a character who is just down on his life, just down. And he takes this assignment, and it involves Dakota Fanning. And when it comes to children actors, usually they can be very annoying. Dakota would become annoying in World of Worlds. But in this, she was excellent. As an actress, she did a great job. Similar to I keep forgetting his name from Sixth Sense, Holmstein, or I can't remember his name, but this was a great acting performance, and she helps him get his life back together, and she gets taken, she gets kidnapped, and he wreaks havoc on anybody, or as he says in the movies, in that movie, I'm going to kill anyone who looked at it, saw it. And he definitely does do a lot of killing. And I don't want to reveal too much, but I have to reveal this death because it is the signature. He has this guy tied to the hood of a car. And there's no nice way to put this. He sticks the bomb up his ass. And you've never seen this?
No.
Yeah, he sticks a bomb up his ass. Literally.
Wow, I started this movie when it first came out on DVD. I was still living at home. That's how old it is. But no, I never finished it.
Oh, you need to finish it. It is a great movie. Plus, it had Christopher Walken, who is... A lot of people don't mention Christopher Walken as an actor for some reason. He may not have a lot of great movies that he was numero uno, the star in, but he has a whole shit ton where he's the side character or he's a supporting actor. And this is one of them. He is an excellent actor in this, like The Rundown as well. But this is just an absolutely adrenaline rush, and Denzel is just an amazing actor. It is a long movie, and some people did have a problem with that. It is 2 hours and 26 minutes long. It's long, but it doesn't feel it. You're not looking at the clock when you're watching this movie. So I would highly recommend Man on Fire. It was definitely the true Punisher until we had the Netflix TV show. But Man on Fire, my number 8.
All right. I need to finish that. I've always told myself I need to go back and watch that.
You need to watch it.
Just never never got around to it.
Gotta finish that one. It is a very good movie.
All right, let's
What you
see
got,
here.
Seth?
Okay, this is another one, kind of in that Van Helsing category, where it to me it's even more underrated. I can't even explain why I enjoy this movie so much, but it's my absolute favorite Matthew McConaughey film. Next to The Lincoln Lawyer, this is my favorite Matthew McConaughey film, hands down, because he went completely against type and got in insane shape as well. I couldn't even tell it was him until I saw the name. I was like, that's Matthew McConaughey? Holy shit. This is the first time I saw Christian Bale. And I don't know why I saw this movie at the theater, and I'm still, to this day, I will watch this movie and I still love it. CGI holds up pretty well too, for the most part. And I'm talking about 2002 Reign of Fire. It is...
I had to think about it.
It is for the time, it is to me, it's well constructed and well put together, and it doesn't drag. It's like, okay, this is what's going on, this is where we're at, and this is the world we live in now. And you got two alpha males going at it. There's the human drama element, and there's the big ass dragons trying to kill them. And I like the fact that they explained it's an easy movie to follow. They explained that there's only one male, and that's why they keep spawning. You kill the male, the rest of them will die off, supposedly. And I just like the dynamic between Van Zant and Quinn. Quinn is played by Christian Bale. Van Zant is played by Matthew McConaughey, who completely went against type. If I showed you a picture of Matthew McConaughey in this movie, you would not know it was him. Shave his head. Dude is ripped up in this movie too. Tatted up. I mean, unrecognizable with a beard. I don't know why, but I just felt like this movie was well paced. It wasn't over the top. They did go with a serious take on it, but if you watch it, it made sense. I mean, the shit that happened, and people died. It wasn't like these movies nowadays, like where people are superhuman and can escape fire. No, if there's a dragon coming and it's down your neck, you're dead. It's it. So I appreciate the realism. It's not, super duper long either. It's under 2 hours. People can say what they want to say. Gerard Butler's in this as well. It's a pretty damn good cast. So I appreciate this movie a lot. Reign of Fire. I strongly recommend it. Is it gonna knock your socks off? Maybe not, but I think it is a popcorn, turn your brain off type of movie. That's not when I say turn your brain off, I mean just sit back and enjoy it. You're not going to be questioning, well, what? No, they explain everything and everything. If this was to happen, you could see that, okay, that makes sense. So
yeah, when it comes to Matthew McConaughey, I'm not big on him at all, but he is in one of my favorite all-time movies, and that's in Interstellar. Interstellar to me is absolutely one of the greatest movies ever made. It is genius, that movie. So he was in that, so I got to give him that. I own that. It's not many movies got close to 2001 Space Odyssey, which to me is just one of the greatest movies ever. But Interstellar gets dangerously close. All right, my number 7. I mentioned earlier that there was going to be no DC and Marvel comic book movies. Mm-hmm. And I pretty much was able to avoid comic book movies in my countdown. But there was one movie that I don't care. It's comic book. But for me at the time, I didn't even know this was a comic book character. I just didn't. So at the time, I thought it was just an action movie. And I love this movie. It was done in 2004. It has had a sequel. It had a reboot, unfortunately. It's directed by Guillermo del Toro. Stars Ron Perlman,
okay.
Doug Jones, John Hurt, Selma Blair,
cheated.
Rupert Evans, Hellboy. Hellboy's not DC or Marvel.
I would have put it is Marvel.
It's Dark Horse.
Oh shit.
It's Dark Horse. Okay. So I was able to get away with it because it is Dark Horse. And again, at the time, I did not know it was a comic book. I didn't know when it came out. So for me, it was just a movie. And that's what really puts it into this list. My original knowing of the movie, it wasn't a comic book. And like I said, we of course had that reboot, which is absolute ass.
Oh God.
It is terrible.
And who's in that movie that we talked about before? Mila Jovovich.
Oh yeah, she is in it. I forgot. She was in that. Yeah, she was in that. Yeah. But this
garbage.
Ron Perlman, when I first heard that he was doing this movie, I was like, okay. And then I saw the character. I'm like, okay. What the hell is this? Pardon the pun. But I was like, I'll give this a whirl, see if this is something good. It looks like it's probably going to be a train wreck. Oh, no. Now, Ron Perlman he can't think of him for anything else other than Hellboy. And little story, for me, it's this. He got a request to visit a child who was sick. He did one of those Make-A-Wish things. You can find this video on YouTube.
Who the hell wanted to see Ron Perlman before they died?
Yeah, he went in full Hellboy makeup, the full gear. And that does not take just a couple of minutes to put all that stuff on. He was in full, legitimate Hellboy gear, not some cheap version. He went as Hellboy, all of it. And it was just sweet to see him do that. But Hellboy it's kind of hard to explain this plot. But Hellboy eventually says he's working for this government agency, and kind of along the same lines of Van Helsing in some respects. He kind of hunts these interesting characters. It is a hard movie to describe, but it's one of those movies that really should focus on the plot.
It's very Van Helsing. Now you said that.
It's very much like Van Helsing, but it's one of those movies you shouldn't follow the plot. Forget the plot. It does not matter. This is one of those movies, you kind of said it, just turn your brain off. Just sit there, watch this movie, and I guarantee you will like it. The movie is just too damn good. Selma Blair, who at the time I had a little bit of the hots for back then. And Hellboy's just so funny. It's funny without trying to be too funny. Now, it did get a sequel. The sequel's good, not obviously the original, and we've already destroyed that fucking reboot. So Hellboy, definitely recommend it. Watch the first one. You can watch the second one. Do not watch the reboot. And that's my number 7, Hellboy. From Dark Horse Comics. What you got next?
Yep. I was gonna put Hellboy on here, but I said no, it's a comic book, so
Dark Horse.
That's all right. I got you with Spawn last time. All right.
Yeah, you did.
This next one, number 6, I believe we're on.
Mm-hmm.
It's appropriate that this movie is number 6 because that number is in the title. I'm just going to get right to it. Starring Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie. And this was Fast and Furious before Fast and Furious knew what to do with itself. Gone in 60 seconds. Oh my God, I love this movie. It is, not only is it action packed, and I love cars. I work at a dealership, so that's, love cars, love this idea, love this concept, and this movie is loaded with jokes that actually land, unlike Fast and Furious, with jokes don't. This is probably Nick Cage's final, claim to fame before the shit started.
When did National Treasure come out? He's known for that.
I never saw that shit. That's
actually good. He's known for National Treasure.
That felt like they were reaching for the Mummy. Yeah, I just couldn't do it.
It's different than the Mummy.
It was like they wanted to be Mummy and Indiana Jones.
That's different than the Mummy.
No, I get that. I'm saying it's the same kind of concept.
I get you.
But I thought he was great in this movie. Angelina Jolie, say what you want about her character, but the people that really stole this movie for me, and I I'll pull this up real quick. So Delroy Lindo, who I don't know what the hell happened to that guy, because he just fell off the face of the earth. He used to be in everything. Shy McBride, Vinnie Jones, who was the Sphinx, only had a few lines at the very end of the movie. But I mean, the jokes in this film, I mean, they just kept coming and coming and coming. Also starred I can't say this guy's last name, Giovanni Ribisi. I think that's how you say it. And I love this movie. Will Patton is in this. Timothy Oliphant's in this. Robert Duvall, the legend. I mean, I could go on and on about the cast. But anyway, this movie is really about Eleanor and, Nicolas Cage's character. Eleanor is that silver Mustang that he has bad luck trying to retrieve. And I won't ruin this movie. I won't ruin how it ends. I just love this movie. It's a heist type film, and like I said, it was Fast and Furious before Fast and Furious knew what it didn't want it to be. So I look, seen this movie 1,000 times. If I see it on TV, I'm stopping what I'm doing. I'm putting it on. Love this movie. It's hilarious too because the jokes are so subtle. And of course, all the black guys are telling the jokes. So That's right there in the movie. But highly recommend you check out Gone in 60 Seconds. It was Nick Cage's, to me, his final, great movie.
Yeah, not into Gone in 60 Seconds. I wasn't into it. I'm not a car guy, so I'm not into any of those types of movies for the most part. But a lot of people like that movie, and I can't stand Angelina Jolie. So,
she's
but I'm glad you
forgettable in that
like
movie.
it. But that doesn't upset me. I figured, that movie might get mentioned, maybe as an honorable mention by you or something like that. Because I know you like cars, so I figured that might get thrown out there. All right. My number 6. This movie, when I first heard this movie was getting done, I was like, really? Why do we need this movie? But I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I watched it. Holy shit. This was done in 2008. For younger viewers, you might not want to watch this movie because it is violent as shit. And it's directed by Sylvester Stallone, starring Sylvester Stallone, Julie Benz. It is Rambo.
Yes.
When this movie got announced, it's like, it's been too long, man.
Yeah.
You can't go back and do this.
Yep.
And plus the third one, I can watch it, but that third one is ugh. So I was like, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this. They took the Rambo character and put him in a totally different light.
Mm-hmm.
He's ripping people's throats out. That scene on the boat. I'll say the scene on the boat because at that point you're not knowing where this movie's gonna go. And then he kills those pirates on the boat, and right then I was like, oh, okay. That's not typical movie violence. That's bordering on real world violence a little bit. And at that moment, you're just riding this train, and I am not blowing that ending as far as what happens on that field, but it is some of the greatest violent scenes I have seen in a major Hollywood movie. Holy shit. There is some violence in this movie. It has to be Sylvester's it's got to be his most violent movie. I'm trying to think what would be more violent than that. It has to be this.
I watched this at the theater because I worked there at the time, and I think I'm with my boy Greg, and we were going in thinking it'd probably be okay. I don't even think we knew it was rated R. When he started shooting arrows, is all I'm gonna say, and that's just the arrows.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
Nope. This is the most different Rambo movie ever. It revitalized the Rambo franchise, which unfortunately led to the last recent one.
Don't mention that one.
Don't watch it. It's bad.
I watched it out of respect, and no,
it doesn't. That movie doesn't deserve any respect. It actually makes Rambo 3 a great movie. That's how bad that most recent one is. They went in a completely opposite direction again, only not for the good.
Yeah, that one felt like they were trying too hard.
Oh yeah, they got an accidental hit with this one, and they're like, oh well, we can't do no wrong. Oh bullshit, you did wrong. But highly recommend watching Rambo. For the younger listeners, you might have a problem with some of the violence, but it's just such a damn good movie. And he was actually believable. I actually believed in him as Rambo finally in this. I hadn't believed in him since First Blood, the first one. So highly recommend it. It is my number 6, Rambo. We are now getting into the top 5, the best of the best, the creme de la creme. What you got for me?
Okay. All right. So I'm trying to think of the best way to bring this in. We just recently had a film with one of these characters, and I don't know what you thought of it, but this creature went up against another creature.
Oh no.
And he had a solo film completely different from this universe back in 2005, directed by Peter Jackson, starring Jack Black, Naomi Watts, Adrian Brody, and directed by Peter Jackson. Also starring Andy Serkis, who did the mocap work. Talking about King Kong from 2005. I thought this was probably one of the most action-packed movies in that decade, period. It is way too damn long. The first hour you can cut in half. We don't need all that exposition, all that stuff with Jack Black, who I thought was severely miscast in that role. But once they got to the island and to the end of the movie is just straight up action. Loved it. Loved the Kong with Naomi Watts, that relationship, that dynamic, and then the guys on the boat trying to find them and hunt them down when they fall into the area with the, oh my God. If you don't like bugs, fast forward through that part. There's a lot of giant bugs in this movie. There's also dinosaurs and it's King Kong. Action. If you're talking about an action movie epic, it doesn't really get any bigger than this. Outside of one movie that I left off my countdown because I just couldn't fit it on here. But to me, and I know people were mixed about this too, but mainly because of the length in that first hour is I ain't gonna lie, that first hour is a little hard to get through. But once you make it to the island, it's worth it. And Andy Serkis doing the mocap, that's all his expressions, that's him. He's brilliant, and I thought this was a great film. To me, great way to bring back King Kong. My only problem with the movie is just the length. Like, come on, we don't need 3 hours of this shit. You really don't. Cut to 2 and we good. I still loved it. Still recommend it. I own it on Blu-ray. Love that movie. I really do. I can sit and watch that one. There it is. Number 5, King Kong.
Me and a girlfriend that I was dating at the time went to watch that movie, and it is one of the most god-awful movies I've ever seen.
Come on, man.
Hate that movie. It is so damn long.
It's long.
It is so long. I'm sitting here I'm like, looking at my phone, I'm like, God damn, this movie is still going. How long have we been in here? It feels like we've been in here for 5 hours. And Jack Black, I'm sorry.
Miscast.
He is so annoying.
Yeah, not the right choice.
And 3 hours of him, 4 hours of him, however long that thing was, maybe I had a bad crowd, but everybody when that movie was over was like, what the fuck was that? And they were all saying that was too goddamn long. Everybody was cussing this movie out. I'm like, damn, I haven't seen that much hate for a movie with a crowd in a while. But people were ripping on it. There were some people who did like it, but I just kept hearing everybody ripping it. So I do remember seeing that movie. And honestly, this is the reason I have not watched Kong Island. This is the reason I have not watched Kong vs. Godzilla. I just do not care. So, and
I respect that, and I understand. I mean, Peter Jackson had people worried to watch Kong Skull Island. I honestly think Kong Skull Island is a way easier watch. And if you take the 2005 King Kong and cut out all the plot about Jack Black shooting a movie and all that shit, and it's just give me the action. That's Kong Skull Island. It is strictly just action. It's separate from this one. This is a different universe. It is totally different. Samuel Jackson's in it. A lot of the cast from Straight Outta Compton's in there. So it is night and day. It's not even close. It doesn't even try to be Peter Jackson film. I love them both. I own them both. So that just tells you. And they're different types of movies. If I want to watch King Kong, but I want the short one with Sam Jackson doing his Sam Jackson thing, I'm going to watch that one, you know. If I want to watch the epic, I watch the long one. I own them both on Blu-ray. Love them.
Yeah, I can't get behind King Kong. I really hated that movie. It was one of the worst movies that year. It really was. It was bad for me. It was just so long.
It was long.
So long.
Can't even debate that. And Jack Black, he didn't help.
He heard it. He made it worse. He made it longer.
Yeah. I totally get it with that. To me, it still hit home. It did well on Rotten Tomatoes. Very, very expensive movie.
Oh yeah.
So yep, that's my number 5.
All right, my number 5. Part of a franchise that we've kind of mentioned already. This was in 2001. Oh yeah, you knew this was coming up. Come on. You knew this was coming up. Directed by Stephen Sommers. Come on. We all knew this was going to come up. Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz.
Can't wait to watch that Black Widow.
The Mummy Returns. This franchise started off so accidental. This should never have been a hit. It's a stupid little mummy movie. It came out, though, at the right time, had the right people, and became a absolute box office smash. Begging for a sequel. which makes you nervous because you know how these things are. Sometimes sequels don't quite live up to the original. You can argue in some respects this may even be better than the original in some respect,
I've
which is,
gone back and
again,
forth.
I don't know how they managed to do this so right for the first two. And I'm going to say three, and I'm going to include the Scorpion King, and then fuck it up with that third one with Jet Li. But Mummy Returns, few years have passed from the events of the first Mummy movie, and Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser's character, of course, now they're together and they have a kid, and that kid is the perfect antithesis of those two. They found the right kid. If they were going to have a kid, that's exactly how that kid would act. And I just love how he was annoying everybody. And I always had a soft spot for Arnold Vosloo. I've mentioned this before. I saw him in Darkman 2 and 3. In this movie, this is revealing a little bit. You really feel sorry for him in this movie. This movie actually made you feel bad for the villain. And it's at the end. It's revealing something, but I don't care. I'm going to say it somewhat. Brendan Fraser, Mummy are just hanging over this precipice, or about to fall. Brendan's telling Rachel, "Hey, stay back, don't do it." She runs out. There's rocks falling, and you see the mummy. He's like asking for a Noxunamun to come save him, and she runs off. Felt bad for. I almost teared up for him. I'm like, "Oh, that's some bullshit. You bitch. You absolute bitch. He had brought you back from the dead twice." Twice. He got tortured because of you, and you run off. I felt bad for him. I felt so bad for him. But this was a good movie. I shouldn't have had that feeling at the very end. I should be wanting him dead. And at that point, I felt so bad for him. Part of me was like, man, pull that guy up. Come on, guys, pull him up. He's got a few flaws, but come on, pull him up.
He only tried to destroy the world out of it.
Yeah, come on. You know, he can learn his lesson. But this was just action-packed. And, of course, The Rock was in this. And The Rock, this would spin off into the Scorpion King. Of course, in this, Scorpion King ain't too nice. But we get to see him in a nicer light in the Scorpion King. This was, like I said, an accidental hit, but so goddamn entertaining. And Brendan Fraser is an action star. Again, you wouldn't see that coming. You wouldn't picture it. But during these two movies, he got in sick shape, and it was 100% believable that he could have been an action star. He could have moved on to do other action movies, and, well, that did not quite happen. So, Mummy Returns, number 5, tremendous series. Highly recommend The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, not Tom Cruise. The Mummy Returns and The Scorpion King. Do not watch the third Mummy movie with Jet Li. I have the box set, so I do own it, but I never watched that piece of shit. It is god awful, and it doesn't have Rachel Weisz in it, which makes it even worse.
That's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Doesn't even have her in it.
I like Maria. What's her name? Maria Bello. I like her.
Oh yeah,
I think she's beautiful, but you're not the character. Sorry. This has been done better, and twice it's been done. You can't recast somebody if they play a role twice. I could see one time you recast. She's done it twice already. You can't come on.
Well, you can if it's part of a franchise. No. I mean, how many times has James Bond done it?
Different. It's different.
I'm just saying you can depending on the franchise. But for this franchise, it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't at all.
But that's my number 5, Mummy Returns. Had to throw in The Mummy Returns, damn it. So...
Stop it right there. This episode went long, so guess what? The return of the two-parter, but couldn't help it. Eric and I were having a very good conversation, definitely a fun episode. So this will be split into part 2, so please come back for part 2. If you want to send me out an email or you want to tell me about the show, if you have any ideas, if you want to provide me your own list, heck, if you even want to come onto the show. There's a few methods in which you can let me know, a few methods you can listen. You can send an email. Just send the email to thecountdown2020@gmail.com. You can go onto the Facebook page. Just search at the Countdown 2020 Podcast 1. You can also listen to the show on there as well. You can go over on Twitter and just search at the Countdown PO1. I'm on Instagram as well. Just search the Countdown 20. Also on Spotify, you can listen to the show. Just search the Countdown 2020. You can listen to the show also on Amazon Audible. Just search the Countdown Podcast. Can, of course, go onto the YouTube page. The YouTube channel's there for you. 2 different playlists. You can listen to just the audio, or you can watch the unedited video of the episode pretty much completely unedited, except for the fact that I'm adding in the intro at the very beginning. And of course, all are available through Podbean. Just search on Podbean the Countdown Podcast, or you can also go to the website connected with Podbean for my episode lists. Just search thecountdown2020.podbean.com. Please like, listen, follow, subscribe. Love putting on this show. Love doing this show for all of you. Let me hear from you. Can't do this show without you. Let me hear from you. And also want to say a big thank you to Incoptech.com, Kevin MacLeod for the royalty-free music, Ice Flow, that you hear at the beginning and the end of the episodes. And, of course, big plug over to Third Generation Wrestling. If you're a professional wrestling fan, please listen to The Real Big E and the Ambassador Rob. I'm a guest on there as well. Also, the good brother Blake. And, of course, can't forget about the Doc as well. All of them have been guests on my show as well. If you're a professional wrestling fan, please listen to Third Generation Wrestling. Available through all the means that I just said. They're on Facebook. They got Twitter, Spotify, Instagram. They're on all of them. They got a YouTube channel. Please search for Third Generation Wrestling. And I will catch you all again for part 2 of Eric and I's countdown of favorite action movies from 2000 to 2009 on the next episode of The Countdown. Have yourself a great day or evening, whatever time it is. Bye.